Okay, guys, I'm here for another retro review, and today we're visiting our friends at the WCW. Right after it became WCW, or at least started calling itself WCW, because from like '88 through most of '89, it was still calling itself the NWA, even though it was technically WCW at the time. So, the subject of today's retro review is Wrestle War 1990. I've already reviewed Wrestle Wars 89, 90, Wrestle Wars 89, 91, 92, so this finishes the 4 Wrestle Wars set. This event took place on February 25th, 1990. Greensboro Coliseum in Greensboro, North Carolina. 7-match card, so we have 35 total stars. Commentators for this show are Jim Ross and Terry Funk, who announced a single portion of the round robin tournament at Starrcade 89. So our opening contest is the dynamic dude Shane Douglas and John Laurinaitis before the era of people power, and they were taking on Kevin Sullivan and Buzz Sawyer. This is a 2-star tag match. It's very formulaic. Shane Douglas is the proverbial Ricky Morton of the group, the guy that takes the damn punishment until the tag is made. And the finish eventually comes from John Laurinaitis, I guess, botching a flying head scissors, and then Bud Sawyer hitting a splash. And that gets the win. It's a 2-star tag match. Not a bad match, but eh. So the next match is Norman versus Cactus Jack. Norman is an interesting character. I believe he later would be Bastion Booger in the WWE. I could be wrong, though. But, Norman was kind of like the Eugene a Eugene character before Eugene existed, although less offensive. Because I don't think he was meant to be, what Eugene was. But he was billed from the state hospital. I don't really know what that... I don't think a hospital let a guy out just to do a wrestling match. But... it was a 90s weird character and all that. This isn't much of a match. It's a half-a-star match. Norman wins by basically sitting on Cactus Jack. Should be noted, almost every face tonight is wearing a Avenge Sting armband or something, because this pay-per-view took place right after Sting had gotten his knee injury that in the storyline was caused by the Four Horsemen. So, all the faces are trying to avenge Sting, even though the only two that are actually in a match against the Horsemen are the Steiners who are wearing these. So it doesn't really make a lot of storyline sense in a way. But, So then we have a renewal of probably the greatest tag team rivalry ever created, or at least that Jim Cornette ever created, as it's the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express. 2.5 stars, like I said. These two teams are really good together, and they have really good matches with each other. This is a 2.5-star match, and it's a traditional Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express match. Eventually, the Midnight Express go for a double flapjack that Robert Gibson counters and turns into a small package on Bobby Eaton, on Stan Lane, which gets the win. It's 2.5 stars. Nothing, these two teams have had better matches, but... So then we get a Chicago street fight. The Road Warriors versus the Skyscrapers. Mean Mark Callis and a masked guy that's just a masked skyscraper for tonight. Because in the storyline, Dan Spivey is injured and Teddy Long has found one guy for a night. And we don't even know what a masked skyscraper is, so... This is a 1-star Chicago street fight. It's not even much of a street fight. It's more of a tornado tag match. There isn't any weapons used in this match or anything like that. Mean Mark gets knocked out of the ring. By the way, Mean Mark, for those of you who don't know, is The Undertaker. Bet none of you knew The Undertaker worked for WCW, but he did. Mean Mark eventually walks to the back, and then the masked skyscraper is hit with the Doomsday device and gets the win. And Legion of Road Warriors get the win. Now... At this point, Teddy Long had brought out Doom, and they get into a fight with the Road Warriors. And that sets up what is, at the time, Road Warriors' final appearance for WCW. As far as at least their final pay-per-view one for a while. Which is at Capital Combat 90 when the Road Warriors face Doom. Uh, I believe that's their final pay-per-view appearance because I know by SummerSlam 1990 they're in the WWE. Uh, but they didn't bring Paul Ellering with them, which is kind of weird. So it's a 1-star match. So then we get the WCW United States Tag Team Championship match, which is a rematch from the tournament to crown the new U.S. Tag Champs. I don't know the situation why the U.S. Tag titles were vacant. They didn't really bring that up in this match, so I can't. And I don't remember it from memory, so. It's Flyin, Brian, and the Z-Man versus the Fabulous Freebirds, Michael Hayes, and Jimmy Garvin, who were the team that Pillman and Z-Man beat for the tag titles. And the whole thing is the Freebirds don't think Pillman and Z-Man should be the tag team champions. So it's really that kind of a situation. This is a 3-star match. Pillman and Z-Man win when Brian Pillman hits a crossbody on Jimmy Garvin. It's a 3-star match, so it's not the best match on here. It's close, but not the best. So then we get the WCW World Tag Team Championship match. The Steiner brothers versus Ole Anderson and Arn Anderson, or if you will, the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. This is a 1.5-star tag match. It's, again, nothing special. The Steiners dominate most of the match. There's a small thing where Scott goes to clothesline Arn Anderson by the ring post, but Arn ducks. And that's about the only real offense the Andersons get in. And then Scott tags Rick. Rick hits like some kind of a suplex or something on, I believe it is, Ole Anderson, and gets the win. It's 1.5 stars. So then we get the WCW World Heavyweight Championship match. And beforehand, they introduced Sting for some reason, because Sting was here despite being injured and come down on crutches. I mean, he plays into the match, so it makes more sense because he plays into this main event. It's Ric Flair versus Lex Luger, who's the U.S. champion. Jim Ross brings up on commentary that this would be the first time if Luger won that the U.S. champ was also the world champ, in which Terry Funk said you can hold 2 titles but you can't defend them, so he'd obviously have to drop one and, surrender one. This is a 4-star match. It's one of Luger's best matches. The finish also, I think, sets up a rematch that I think they had at Capital Combat, but I haven't seen that show for a couple of years, so maybe I'll do it in my next retro review for WCW, because, that is a pay-per-view after this, and I haven't seen it since I got the WWE Network, so, but the finish is, Luger's got Flair in a torture rack, and, Arn Anderson and Ole Anderson start trying to beat up Sting. Luger drops the torture rack, go deal with the Andersons, and he gets counted out. It's a 4-star match, and like I said, it leaves open a rematch that I think they had in May at the next pay-per-view, Capital Combat, which was supposed to be Armed and Dangerous, but they changed the name to Capital Combat. So, Flair wins by countout. And out of 35 total stars, this show gets an 11.5. That makes this a D+ show. Not good enough to be a C-, and definitely nowhere near a C, because that would require 17.5, which this show does not have. So, this will be my Retro Review playlist. If you liked the video, like button down there, subscribe button is down there, and thank you for watching. Bye.